Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee, and if you have not ever been on this show, I want to welcome you. If you are currently a weekly member, thank you so much for being here every week. If you don't know who I am, my name is River Lee, and I'm the founder of The Savvy Groomer, where I teach you to go from being burnt out, broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on your term. So let's go ahead and start talking about this week's episode. We're going to be talking about incompatible business soulmate clients. Hey, Marie, great to see you here live. Oop, now you can see my beautiful face right here. So I had a great coaching call today, and it really hit me, and I ended up thinking about it for hours and hours and hours afterwards, which I know sounds really obsessive, but that's what happens sometimes, right? Something happens and we're like, wow, like that was really profound in the moment. So long story short, when I was on this coaching call, we were talking about how, they wanted to do something in their business. And listen, I am always here for you guys. If you want to do something in your business, Marie's saying, I try whenever we get the notice. Many times you're still grooming. Absolutely. Especially if I'm here on the East Coast, it's 7 p.m. And then on the West Coast, I believe if you're in California, you're looking at about 4:11 right now. Hey, 80, great to see you. So during this coaching call, what was really fascinating was there were so many limiting beliefs. And I'm not here to be your psychologist. I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's not my purpose. That's not my place. But what really struck me was a client would say something, and then I would try to help them. And it became very difficult to help them because every time I went to give them a solution, there was a reason. And that reason really didn't make sense. So for instance, in this client's situation, hey, Rebecca, great to see you live. I would see something along the lines of her saying, I don't know if I'm going to have any new clients. I'm worried about getting new clients. And I said, okay, well, how many new clients can you take right now? And she'd be like, oh, I'm full. I'd be like, okay, you're full. She's like, yes, and I have a waiting list. I'm like, okay. So then we don't really need new clients. We just need to train these clients to be on like a 4-week schedule. And she'd be like, no, I really like when they're on a 6-week schedule. And I said, why? And she said she really loved watching the transformation and she didn't feel like the pets needed an every 4-week groom. And as I'm listening, it was really difficult because it was hard to figure out what the best way to help this client, because they want to do a one-on-one, what I jokingly call stationary mobile. We're at a one-on-one salon with a little bit of overlap, but basically every pet gets this very one-on-one experience. She's at the top of her market where she is, but she has a great reputation. People love her. They really respect her. But, of her clientele, the majority of her client were on an every 6 or 8 week schedule. And the tough part with that is that, she had 126 grooming spots per month. And what often happens with you guys is when we say, okay, we have 128 slots, right? That's how many dogs we can do. When we have clients on every 8 weeks, and again, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but 125 plus 125 is 250. So it should be 252, but let me double check because it's that kind of day. Yep, so 252. So if we said, okay, you can have 126 people that come once a month or 252 clients that come every other month. So 126 this month and 126 next month. Well, that's 252 people to schedule, right? And so I said to her, if you had 126 people on a monthly schedule and they always did what we needed to do, right? Let's say they were they're the 9 a.m. the first Monday of the month, and it's a set schedule. Or even we have a set number of clients, so it's not hard to rearrange everybody, right? And I think that's one thing that we forget is that the more people we add, the more people we are juggling, right? So I always say it like this, like, if you had a set schedule every month or you had a smaller number of people to juggle, it's a lot easier. And if you're confused about why that is, you'll hear me often say, I hate when people do 3 or 6 week clients. And you might go, why, if you've never heard me talk about that? And it's because if you have an every 4 week client, a 3 week client, a 6 week client, a 5 week client, then who gets that appointment, right? So looking at a calendar really quickly, okay? Let me look at this month right now. Let's say I had a client, and again, I'm pulling up my calendar, so don't mind me. Let's say I had an appointment that came in the 1st January of the month, okay? And they wanted 4 weeks from now. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the 22nd. Okay. But because there's 5 weeks this month, that means that potentially the last month person, that was 5 weeks. Let's say they got groomed on the 25th of December. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're not open on Christmas. But let's just do that for shits and giggles. Well, then they also want that same spot. So then who gets the spot? Does the 4 week person? No, because probably the 5 week person, they also booked out 5 weeks. So now this 4 week person wants that spot and they cannot have it. And then let's say on the 8th, you also have, let me see if I can pull up a calendar. I don't know if I can. Darn it. Hang on. Let me see if I can do this, because I think this is going to be hard to understand unless if I can pull it up. And you know how much I love trying to pull this stuff up on my computer, because it's just yeah, let's just see if I can pull up. Nope, that's not useful. Let's look up January 2020. Listen, I need to stop doing this. There we go. Nice and big. Free printables. Perfect. So, hey, Erin, great to see you here live. Okay, so let me see if I can, and again, as always, guys, I am just doing my best. All right, so let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to have to move your comments, guys, because you're in my way. I know you're not meaning to be. The worst part is, like, as I'm trying to, like, see it, I have to, like, I can't do it all at the same time. Okay. Here we go. Now that you can see this, and I'm going to pull up my chat. Perfect. Oh, wow. Missed a couple things. Marie's example, we recently suggested 4 week schedule to a client she cannot do 2 random doctor's appointments for her and her husband. How do you handle those clients? We can definitely talk about that. Remind me later, Marie. Passion, pause, and clause. Would you recommend opening up your schedule in blocks and then scheduling 2 weekers first and then 3 weekers and so on? Hey, Reese, it's great to see you. All right, well, really quickly, let's do this. So let's say here, this person here wants a 4 week or so. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're here on the 22nd, right, guys? Well, the person that was here and they're a 5 weeker will also want the 22nd. And then the 3 weeker will also want the 20. Well, that's a 2 weeker, right? 1, 2. I messed up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I was right. That's 4. No, sorry. Duh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 29th. And then on the 8th, the 3 weeker, and then a 5 weeker up here. You know what I meant. Forgive me. Okay, so here's the thing, is that if I had a calendar of people that are on an every 4 week or a 2 week calendar, I wouldn't have any of the problems you guys are having, right? And that's the truth. If I had a total spots, let's say Oh man, I really need to this is a whole class I could teach. But basically, let's say if I had an every 2-week client, well, that 2-week client would always take precedent over that 4-week client, right? Because they would be on the same schedule, right? Because my Saturday client would be here, let's say at 8 a.m. 1, 2, 8 a.m. Well, this would be my, 2 weeks, right? So 8 a.m. would be here, and let's say my 10 a.m. would be my 4-week client. And so I'd have 2 and 4. 2, right? So this is my 2-weeker, and then my 4, 1, 2, 3. Sorry. God, I feel like I'm screwing this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again, 8 a.m., 10 a.m. So that's why they're on the same schedule. You could also do this if you prefer a 3 and 6 week. But I want to ask you, why do you want to do 3 or 4 week over a 2 or 4 week? It doesn't make any sense because, a pet that is groomed pets done every 4 weeks are significantly in better shape. Emotionally, they're in a better place because they really learn it's part of life. It really is such a game changer. Whoop, let's move that there. So when we're looking at this calendar, if I have 126 spots, right, where am I going to put everyone? But if I have 2 weekers, 3 weekers, 4 weekers, 5 weekers, 6 weekers, 8 weekers, 12 weekers, that's a nightmare. I just want you to think about, all you are doing is juggling people. Now, if you have staff, or if you have a staggered grooming salon setup, like we talked about last week with how we had the pets there for 4 hours, you have far more ability because in that staggered appointment, if I have 2 people who want to come in at 8, I could just check them both in at 8, right? So I can have, if I have this person here at 8 a.m. and they're in every 2 weeks, and here we go on the 2 weeks, right? 1, 2, yep, so 2 weeks. Oh my God, I have to count it. And then at the 4 weeks, if I have a staggered appointment, I can fit an 8 a.m. and an 8 a.m. here, right? Because they're not going to have to be picked up till, let's say, 4 o'clock. It's not 4 o'clock. Let's say they're 8, so 4 hours, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they're not going to be picked up to 12. I have so much freedom and flexibility. However, if you are mobile, or if you are the kind of groomers that are stationary mobile, let's call that one-on-one, you can't do them both at the same time. You can't check them in at the same time. So creating a tighter system is so much more important because you don't have as much flexibility. When I had my grooming salon, we had 40 spots a day for dogs. 40. Think about that, because we had 5 employees versus if you are one-on-one or if you're mobile, you really don't have the room to do this. Or if you are more boutique-y, where you are going to end up with a schedule that is tighter, right? Where you don't want the dogs there for 4, 6, 8 hours. I know when I started grooming, and probably the first 5 years of grooming that I had, it was the norm that dogs were either at the shop all day or they were there for the majority of the day. So in this scenario, what I want you to remember is that the 2, the 3, and the 4 weeker, ultimately, it's not so bad if I have all of these spots, right? Because if I have 40 spots here, right, and we used to do a dog every 15 minutes. But let's say if you have 2 at 8, 2 at 9, just like we talked about last week, well, that's 4 spots. It's 4 opportunities for me to get these dogs on a staggered schedule. But if I am one-on-one and everyone wants 9 a.m., it's a traffic jam. And the more people that are a part of this traffic jam, the harder it is to make everyone happy. And you're not going to be able to make everyone happy. And that's going to be a big problem. Because when you start going into a scenario where you want to start creating that soulmate client. You're going to accidentally talk people out of regular schedules, or you're actually going to be pushing away the wrong people. So the best analogy I had, and it was a real light bulb, and I was trying to explain it to her. And it's not her fault because I understand what she was saying. What I was struggling with was a way to explain it that made sense because I understood where she was coming from. Where she was coming from, she really loves the transformation. When you have a pet that goes from like shaggy to really coiffed, it's a real ego boost, right? It's a real ego boost to watch a dog go from to wow, that's amazing, right? It feels better. You feel like you're giving a better value to the client, right? And we like that. We don't want to feel like we are price gouging. We don't want to feel like we are not giving people their money's worth. I mean, all these people have all of these other appointments and they have real life and they have this and they have that. So the way I likened it was to dating. And you guys know I talk about the soulmate clients. And if you haven't already heard about it, basically we have our soulmate client, which is our perfect match. We have our ideal client, and our ideal client is the client that is like the guy you meet and he's got a lot of potential, but you're not sure if he's the one. And then we have the fling client. The fling client is the guy that texts you. If you're on dating apps, like I am, unfortunately, I'm on dating apps, and the guy will literally text me like, come over and watch a movie. And you're like, no, like, don't be lazy. Or like I had a guy literally message me last night at 11 o'clock at night saying that I should Uber over his house. Like, never met me in person. Didn't even get to know me. Just like, hey girl, deliver yourself like pizza. Like, horrible. Right? But we accept a lot of these clients, don't we? It's the client that calls you on the Saturday that you haven't seen in 12 weeks and they need to get in today. They need to get in before 2. They call it noon. They need to get in by 2 and the dog needs to be done by 4. Right? And they never tip, or if they do tip, they act like they really appreciate you. And then it's like, you don't hear from them for months. Right? Or they call you when they can't get into their regular salon. Right? Or, you're only good when they need you. Right? These jerk clients. And they don't mean to be a jerk. They're just, listen, that person that is that like booty call, that booty call Bob, that fling guy, he's in a different space. He's not ready to commit. He's not interested in committing. This is not a value system for him. He's not looking to get married. He's not looking for commitment. He's not looking for any of that, right? And there's no judgment if that's where anyone's at. But if you want to run that business, you have to accept those clients. If you want to have the fling clients, you've got to accept the negatives of that, which is constant schedule chaos, having clients that are not willing to commit, clients that are going to constantly be mad, or they're going to be behavioral problems, or the client's not going to know the routine. For instance, if you have a client who's in once in a blue moon and they're just doing a regular groomer and you're mobile, or you're a one-on-one groomer, and you're like, okay, you drop off at 9, you pick up at 10. Well, they're used to having a totally different situation where, guess what? They would drop the dog off at 9 and not pick it up till 4. And they're not invested enough to know your policies and know your procedures. They don't give a crap, right? Because they don't value the service. So what happens when you spend a lot of time and energy, let's call it quote unquote dating these kinds of clients? Well, then those flings are taking room up from ideals or soulmates. Now, if your dream is to have clients, let's take off 4 weeks off the table. Let's say your dream client is really committed to keeping their dog clean. They're really committed to working around your schedule, investing time into doing whatever it is that you need them to do. They want to invest in you, right? They want to commit to you. And you are spending so much time on your ideals, which are, they may commit to you, but they're still testing the water. They might go to another groomer if you can't get the time, right? They're the client that is the every 3-week client, and they want 9 a.m. every third Monday. And you can't promise that to them because every other time they get blown off because you gave it to the 6-week client, right? So what does that do? Think about that in a dating perspective. If I'm willing to give up, and I hate to say give up, but that's how I feel like at this point with dating. If I am willing to sacrifice, let's say, my Saturday to go on a date with someone, that's prime real estate for dating, right, guys? And they are, every other time, they are picking somebody else, right? Then am I going to keep reinvesting, or am I going to go look for somebody who's willing to invest in me, right? And so what's happening is that when you spend all your time and energy chasing clients who are not your soulmate client and bending over backwards for people that are not your soulmate clients, you are accidentally taking up the room for that soulmate client and giving it to incompatible people. And sometimes we actually want things for our business that are incompatible with what we want. I see this all the time when you guys are wanting employees. And you will say something along the lines of, yeah, I want to build up my clientele and then I want to hire a second groomer. And I'm like, cool. So you don't like grooming, you like training and managing staff. And you're like, no, I love the grooming. I just want somebody else to just basically clone myself and groom these dogs. And I said, okay, so then you don't care about who grooms your clients. No, I want to do this. I said, okay, well, if you're not training this person, you just think that they're like magical unicorn groomers that are going to leave their other job. And these groomers are perfect, don't need to know anything. They just can just hop in your shop and groom exactly the way you want them to, exactly service your clients the way you want them to, right? That's an incompatible business model with what you want, right? Because you need to onboard your employees. It's a 90-day onboarding. And you need to have things in place that if they get sick, if they die, if they move away, if they become pregnant, we need to protect our employees, and we need to acknowledge that our employees are not mini us's. So a lot of times we're creating these incompatible business models with what we ultimately want and ultimately what we're attracting. So, and this is not a dating PSA. So, what I would love to meet is a alpha male, super ambitious guy, like a vicious shark in his business, but then he's like, we spend time together, we have fun, he respects my independence, and at the same time, he loves like museums over concerts. He likes he's more into like the Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone or whatever over things like, I don't know, insert thing, right? So I want this more high energy person. Well, if I'm sitting there dating a lot of these, like this ideal man that I have in my head, right? And it's not perfect, and I don't expect him to be perfect. And this is where we do our ideal client. We're not Frankensteining this perfect person. What we're doing is we're saying, okay, these are qualities I'm going to start looking for. Right? These are the ideal qualities, right? And if this person that I want, this soulmate person that I'm considering, when I think about this person, how much free time does he really have to invest in me? Not a lot, because he's busy. He's busy with work. He's busy taking care of his body. He's busy probably, in meetings, and he probably loves his family. So he's spending time with his family and his friends. He's nurturing all those things. So the time he's willing to commit to me is important to him, but he needs me to commit to it or be completely flexible, which I'm not willing personally to be somebody's, second choice, right? I'm not willing to be your backup plans. when your friends cancel and you want to hang out with me. I'm not willing to do that personally. And in the grooming salon, I don't want to be that person either. I don't want to be someone's backup if their other groomer gets sick, cancels, etc. I don't want them to call me for my grooming services. I want to be the first choice. So if that person's like, listen, I work 6 days a week, but I can promise you I can do Sunday brunches. Can we plan Sunday brunches every week? Can we, or every other week? Can we please plan that? Because I want to make sure I give you the time, care, and attention you deserve, right? That client, right, that soulmate person would be willing to commit to me. And for most of us that are single, that sounds amazing, right? That's like, wow, this person is ready to commit. But if I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like feel it out, right? Because I have a bunch of other people here. I have these other people who are not willing to commit to me every other brunch. They're willing to, they're willing to do brunch like every third time, right? So when that person wants to do brunch, let's say this other person says, okay, well, I want to do brunch 3 weeks from now. You're like, okay, that's not a problem. And then in 3 weeks, like, okay, I want to do another 3 weeks. Well, then who do I pick? Do I pick the person who does 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And you might say whoever you like more. But if you're in a grooming situation, you may have favorite dogs, but you may not. It may just be 50-50. You're like, I like this client, I like this client. So which one do you pick? And it's the person that made the plans first, but how many times is this person going to set aside every other Sunday for brunch when you might cancel on them? Or say, no, I can't do that. I said, well, I thought we agreed like every other week for brunch. And so you're accidentally getting rid of the better people. You're going for the bad boys who are not willing to commit to you, right? Because it's not even 3 weeks. Let's say it's 6 weeks. You said, okay, well, every other month I can give you 1 day. You're like, well, it's a long time, but okay. Or how about every 3 months, right? Every 3 months he's going to be willing to go on a date with you, right? Or these bad boys, right, that are like, you know what? Don't call me. I'll call you. When I have time for you, that's what I'm going to do. So again, is that compatible with your business model? If your business model is, listen, everyone must be done start to finish. You have to pick up. It's a very small window. There's very little room for error. Very little room for error. How exactly are you going to turn away the person who's like, listen, I really want you to be my groomer. I want to commit to you. I really want to do this. Alternatively, if you turn around to the guy that said, I want to keep things really fixed, and you said, listen, I really need commitment. If you're not willing to commit, I need to focus my energy on people that will commit to me. Then he has two choices. He can either commit to you, or he can go find somebody willing to live that kind of chaotic lifestyle. And the chaotic lifestyle in my mind is that high volume grooming salon. And I don't think those are going to be long-term the plan. I really don't. I don't think they're going to be around forever, because as somebody who had 40 dogs a day, we had very calm salon. But guess what? When you have that many dogs, there's going to be barking. There's nothing you can do. It's going to be barking, and it's going to be a little loud and chaotic. It's a lot. It's a lot. And not everyone, and in fact, most of the groomers I know don't want to be in a situation where there are 40 dogs in the shop. You go, okay, well, what about 30? Okay, well, it's 3 full-time groomers and maybe 2 bathers, right? Okay, what about 20? Right? Well, that's not a 3 or 4 groomer shop, unless they're doing very low volume. And if they're doing very low volume, right, then are you even profitable? So make sure what you're saying and what business model you want is compatible. And this groomer, I was trying to explain to her, I said, listen, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. And you guys do this a lot. And I know you don't mean to. And listen, I do it too. I do it all the time. And it's not intentional. It's just in that moment, you're trying to work through it, right? You're trying to figure out why it is that this is not compatible, why it's not working, right? So when I have somebody saying to me, I'm worried about getting more clients, but they're full and they have a waiting list. Those are not compatible. Okay. When you are saying, I don't want clients on every 6 weeks because I want to give them good value, but then your 4-week clients can't get on a regular schedule, right? And when you want to spend more time on making sure the customers have an excellent experience, the less clients you have, the less clients that you have to remember the names of their children, what haircut, and I understand we have all this software now. But one thing you must remember is that every interaction is your reputation. And the more people you are communicating with, the more time, the more effort, and unfortunately, the harder it is. There's a very strong reason why I have no more than 10 coaching clients at a time. You know why? Because I cannot run the scenarios of more than 10 people a month to make sure I'm giving them 100%. I can't do it. And in fact, next month, I've decided to cut it down to 5. I will only have 5 full-time one-on-one coaching clients. And you know why that is? Because I'm going to be focusing more energy on masterclasses and speaking. And I can't give 10 people that level of excellence. I can't do it. And give the excellence to these other things that I am doing. And so for you, you have to decide what is the most important things to you. What season of life is your business in? What season of life are you in? For me right now, freedom is very important. Okay. Right now, freedom, family, I'm moving again. Like I have to, the new house is getting done. There's so much going on. And that's where you're going to have a lot of trouble. Because if you are choosing incompatible things, right? If I was like, I really want this, executive level man who's more ambitious than me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then I can't spend my time trying to date the guys that, I'm trying to think of like a nice way of putting it, but like I call them the hot pocket guys, that work like here, they work at the local bar and they're going, and it's not even like they take their job real. Like they're there because they get to drink on the job. That man is incompatible. But if I went on a date with him and I kept dating him, I'm giving up precious time and precious space in my life where I could be focusing or finding that other person. So you've got to balance that out. And hoping that the guy at the bar, because he wants to go and drink every night, is going to be compatible with what I want in my life is silly. And if I started bending my life around, like I'm a morning person. I'm that annoying 5 a.m. morning person, guys. And if I kept making it a point to go out on dates at 11 o'clock at night when he gets off of his shift at the bar, I'm never going to be happy because I'm always going to be tired. And then when that other guy's like, oh, I do hot yoga. That sounds like my kind of dude. At like 6 a.m., would you like to come for a class with me and then we can do Starbucks? I'm going to be like, I was drinking at 11 p.m. at night with this other guy. So when I do that, I'm shutting myself off to the potential of somebody who's more in line with what I want. And again, if you can understand the metaphor, it's really important is what, and it may be, I need to reevaluate what I want in life, right? So if I'm like, no, you know what? Actually, I really want a guy who is a party guy and he goes out every night and we go drinking. And that's really actually what I want. Then I have to change what I'm going to do. And then I might be like, actually hot yoga and Starbucks in the morning guy is not for me. I thought he was, and I was wrong, so I'm not going to even chase those guys. I really want to have party guys at night. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But you have to accept the consequences of that. Party guy at night is never going to, I want to be bullshit rich, right? And party guy may never even own his own house. Party guy in where I'm living is probably not even owning a car, or he's got 4 roommates. I mean, I can't believe how many men here are in their late 30s and they have 4 roommates, 3 to 4 roommates. Some of them even share a bedroom. They don't have cars and they have no savings. They have no nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that man, but he's incompatible to what I want. And so in your grooming salon or your mobile, what are the things that you want? How are you going to reach them? So really quickly, let me go see the comments. Rebecca Smith is saying, how would you regulate clients when you're working as a tenant in another shop? Trying to build clients, owners having me instead of booth rent. They're nice owners, but I'm not really understanding how they're running the shop. Other thing, I don't check in my own dogs, and I want, but she has a receptionist that checks in on all the dogs. So you're not going to be able to build clientele if the receptionist is checking in all of the other dogs, because they're not going to be attached to you. So this is a great example of incompatibility, right? You are agreeing to do 1099, which you know is illegal. And it's not that it's illegal. It's just that it's essentially tax fraud, right? It's technically tax fraud because you're a misclassified employee. You're not technically tax frauding. You're just having to pay double the taxes. They're tax frauding. But you're saying, I'm agreeing to do this technically, I don't want to say illegal thing because you're not being a criminal. They're being a criminal. I'm willing to go along with this criminal enterprise because I want to build up clientele. However, in this very moment, you're not going to build up those clients. So what you're hoping to do is actually not what's going to happen. Yeah, Aaron is saying the owner will never let you leave with those clients. They're not going to. If they have a receptionist checking in and out those dogs, first of all, that's a red flag. Like they can't check in and out your dogs if you're your own business. That's not how any of this works. I mean, think about if I was renting a grooming salon in a strip mall, my landlord's receptionist would never be checking in and out my clients. Also, that means you can't charge extras. You don't get to say what the pricing is. You're not probably taking payment, so it's completely messed up. So you're hoping to build up your clientele and then leave. However, everything you just said there states that, again, the equivalent would be like saying, like, I'm looking for marriage. And then you're dating a dude who's saying, yeah, I just want to keep things cash. Go with the flow. Friends with benefits first. I want to become best friends before committing, right? You're spinning your wheels, girl. You're spinning your wheels, and I'm sorry. But if that's your plan, then you need to go to another grooming salon that if it is 1099, that it's in the contract. Because first of all, like, you're your own business. Right? And you tell them, like, listen, I'm my own business. I'm checking in and out my own clients. And I teach employers to have their employees not check in and out their own dogs. I teach them for them to have the receptionist do it. However, you're 1099, which means that you are your own business. You're not a W-2 employee. So there's a whole lot going in there. The good news is that you could, and I hate to do this because I really don't like, hurting people. I would go into the misclassified employees Facebook group. Debbie there is amazing. There's a bunch of really, really amazing groomers, really smart people that have a lot of resources. And if you want to report them, you can report them, and that's going to force them to become W-2 because that's a red flag. Alternatively, you can go find employment elsewhere, or I hate to say it this way, because I don't know your whole situation. We're in a groomer drought. You can get a job anywhere in the country. You can get a job. You can quit your job tomorrow and probably be able to, if you can find somewhere else to groom, you'd be able to do it. But that's something you've got to do. But, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. Really quick, going back to Marie. 4-week schedule. She cannot do that due to... Okay, so here's the thing, Marie. When you're saying this, so Marie was saying, we recently suggested a 4-week schedule to a client. She cannot do that due to random doctor's appointments for her and her husband. Okay, so what you're telling me is, listen, I believe in health and this and that. She can't once a month say to her doctor, this appointment doesn't work for me because one day a month I have doctor's appointments. I want you to think for a second. Think about that. That client is telling you, I'm not willing to commit to you. I mean, just want to shake. Imagine if I said to you, okay, Marie, I'm gonna schedule one day a month with my friends and we're gonna brunch. And they said to me, oh, River, I have doctor's appointments. I'm like, oh my God, you're really sick. I'm so sorry to hear that. But you can't find one day for a 3 to 4 hour window. One day a month, 3 to 4 hour window that you can commit. I want you to think about that. If there was ever a way for someone to tell you, we do not value your schedule, that's it. We cannot find a 4 hour window to commit to you one time a month. I want you to think about what you could not commit to once a month. And it's things you don't value. Right? That's it. If you value it, you will do it. And if there's consequences, you will do it. Really quickly. Sometimes we need to use money to get people to do what we want them to. And that sucks, but sometimes that's what we've got to do. Marie's saying she has texted every 3 to 4 weeks for an appointment for the last 6 months. Her point is that she cannot commit to the same time every month. Why not? Why not? Because she's willing to bend over backwards for the doctor's appointments. Why can't she say to the doctors, I can do any time except Monday mornings? The first Monday morning of the month is I have to get the dog groomed. Or, again, if I have a client that wants me to be the flexible one, because she's not telling her doc. I mean, I hate, doctors. I get it. Listen, I totally get it. But at the same time, she's putting you second. You are the backup plan. Are you okay with that? I'm not. Listen, if somebody is going through chemotherapy and they cannot commit to their grooming appointment, I understand that. Sorry, someone's texting me. Boop. You might be like, well, they have this problem going on. Okay, I understand that. I'm going to sound really callous for a minute. You're telling me no one else can be there to take the dog. You're telling me you are the backup plan. And are you okay with that? Is that your soulmate client? It's not mine. You guys used to know I had a mobile grooming unit. It was cats only, once a month. I had a client that I used chemotherapy because that's what happened to her. She was going through breast cancer. I had no idea. And I'd be like, oh, I noticed your husband's been here a few times for the cat. I missed your face. And she's like, oh yeah, sometimes I have chemo and I can't make it. I'm like, what? But she figured it out because me grooming her cat was a priority. That's how you have amazing clients. And that's the level of commitment I want, is that they're going to figure out how to make it work with me. And you know why? It's because I would rather have 100 amazing clients than 200 or 300 clients that I have to juggle that are just okay, right? Do you want one partner who commits to you, or do you want to have 5 or 6 options, right? That may or may not put you first. And it is a value system choice. But everyone that listens to my show generally, you want these higher level clients. You want, if we were like in a heterosexual normative relationship, you're like, you want the ring. Luna Bunny says, I'm on mat leave. I'm currently 2 or 3 days a month to groom my soulmate clients. I give them the dates. They make it work if they want to continue to be my clients during my time. Absolutely. Oh, Coral, great to see you. Exactly. Coral and I are totally on the same wavelength. Exactly. And it's a very different thing. It's, and again, I've had to learn a lot of things in my dating life And I always knew it intuitively in my grooming. But then when I started dating, I realized all the things I was doing wrong by realizing all the things I was doing right in my grooming business. So that's where I'm sharing you my aha moments in dating. And I was like, man, this is just like my grooming that I used to do. So I want you to just consider that. Is your business model incompatible with your soulmate clients, or are you accepting less than ideal? Like, Marie, I know you don't want to hear this, but if she can't commit to you, are you charging her more? Because one thing you can do, and I've done this with a few clients, is that if you rebook, or if you have the same appointment, it's one price. If I have to spend the time to rebook you or schedule you, right? Because if it's not me, it's somebody else I'm paying. And guess what? I don't work for free. Right? If you want me to do more work because you're not willing to move your schedule around or you be inconvenienced, you're going to inconvenience me because you don't want to be inconvenienced, then you got to pay for it. So one way of doing that really easily is to give a 25% fee. So if you're charging $100 for a small dog, make that other option $125. Say, okay, we offer a $25, our prices are $125. We offer a $25 discount if you rebook the same time every month, right? And that's easy. Or, and again, that's a really easy way to do a price increase. And I am going to wrap it up right now because we are hitting our hour right now. But guys, that was all about, incompatible businesses and soulmate clients. I really want you guys to consider, if you haven't already, to go ahead and join my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. We talk about, business, personal finance, and lifestyle for groomers, all this stuff. Hopefully like I said, my personal dating life is always a hot mess express. Because I have to learn everything. It's funny, like I know what I'm doing in business, but then I put in my personal life. And a lot of you guys have fantastic, happy, healthy marriages. And I have to learn these things at this age. So no one's perfect. So don't even worry about it. But the last thing I will mention to you is make sure if you are okay being the backup plan, if you are okay being second choice, then you need to make sure your business model reflects that, either through pricing, either being able to charge really high rates and having less clients, or because you can't juggle, you can only juggle so many, or, having more employees and more flexibility. And my one-on-ones, my mobiles, we don't have a lot of that. If somebody needs to cancel last minute, that really screws up our day. If someone wants to book within a week, that really screws up our times. And that's the question for you. Are you okay with that? And if you're not, then it's time to set your boundaries. It's time to raise your standards. Okay, guys? I don't want to be preachy about it, but, I found that I spend more time alone than dating, but the dates I have are better. And that's, and I don't mind that. Would I rather waste time and energy on somebody that I know I'm not compatible with and is ultimately just going to make me feel bad about myself? Or do I want to invest in somebody who has long-term potential? And remember, I can either be rotating a Rolodex of 5 or 6 guys, or I can, work towards just getting the one. I personally would much rather have one soulmate than 5 or 6 ideal people that I'm kind of juggling versus, let's say 30 or 40 guys that might not call me for 5 months. So that's up to you though. And you might be like, no, I like the chaos of this. But just remember, if you like the chaos of this, your business needs to be structured in a way that you can handle the chaos. Because I don't know about you, but the simpler, the better, the easier. All right, guys. So I hope you have an amazing evening. I know I did. I love talking to you guys. I'm going to go try to take a nice long walk and get some energy out because I'm all wound up. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here. You know, and, you know, passionate paws and claws. If you guys like this whole scheduling topic, we can keep talking about it. I like talking about scheduling. Coral saying, the more you fire the clients that don't value you, the easier it gets. Then you'll start to start looking forward to your workday again. Absolutely. It goes by a lot faster when you have nothing but soulmate clients. Let me tell you, it was the easiest thing. And even now when I'm in the cat van, I love it. All right, now I'm covering, you know, I'm having a pair cat grooming, and I love it. You know why? Because most of the clients I groom are fantastic and understanding and tip awesome. They're amazing. It's easy and effortless and fun. And that's what we need grooming to be. Effortless, fun, exciting, right? That's what we need to focus on because that's how we keep grooming long term. All right, guys, you take it easy. I will see you here next week. And as always, happy grooming, guys. Transition out.